What I really want us to think about is that we don't know if what's going to come. We don't know if we're going to have a war, if we're going to have what kind of reaction is going to happen. And frankly, it's not a debate that I'd like to open, because nobody knows. I don't know, you don't know, no one knows. But as business leaders, I think it's very important for us to be ready. To be ready for the different possibilities, war being one of them. When it comes to these kind of crises, I have 3 golden rules. And this is what I wanted to share with you today. The first is people, the second is cash flow, and the third is mindset. So in terms of people, our role is to protect our team and to make sure that they can sustain as long as possible. So I'm going to give you some examples of things that we're doing. First, making sure that the insurance papers are current, they are available in every stores, fire extinguishers in every store, first aid kits in every store, in the office, in the kitchen, etc. What we're doing also, we're reshuffling the team members. Let's say if this is where I live, they are being assigned to the closest store so that they don't have to be unnecessarily on the streets. He asks the manager to visit the nearest hospital, the nearest Red Cross center, and the nearest civil defense center, just to know where they are, because sometimes you don't know where is the nearest hospital. So it's better to do it when everything is calm or we're not in a crisis, compared to doing it when you have the need for it. So they are looking on the nearest hospital, the nearest Red Cross center, the nearest civil defense, and they are visiting them just to make sure to know what is the best way to get there. We're adding stock in the stores that are north and reducing stocks to the minimum in the stores that are south. We are putting on the side 2 months of salaries. And the idea, in case we cannot pay, in case we don't have revenues anymore, to be able to have 4 months of half salaries, so people could sustain for 4 months. The mental health, that is something very important, because the main difference between this crisis and previous crises is that previous crises hit us by surprise. In 2006, we were having dinner in restaurants, and then the bomb started falling on the airport. So we were not prepared. This time, we are seeing the tsunami. Like, the tsunami is in front of us. We are seeing it approaching. We don't know, will it hit us? Will it go to the left, to the right? Will it disappear before it hit us? We don't know. But from a mental health perspective, I feel it's even more important to make sure that we're taking care of this. And this is where I called Sandra, and Sandra with Sira is preparing mental health workshops for our team members to be ready before the crisis, during the crisis, and after the crisis. So this is when it comes to people, this is few of the actions we're taking. Second, when it comes to cash flow, the aim of cash flow is to keep the ball rolling. Okay, so to keep the ball rolling for 3 things, and this is the priorities: to pay salaries, to pay rents, and to pay suppliers. And salary, rent, supplier salaries is for everybody, obviously. But rents, we go for the most fragile to the least fragile. So, for example, in 2006, what you looked at, individual landlords had priorities over companies. Small companies has priority over large companies, and local companies has priorities over international companies when we only had this much of money that we could pay. Same thing for suppliers, small companies, large companies, international companies. We looked at the 80-20 rules. We have 20% of our products that generate 80% of the sales, and we're stocking non-perishable. Okay, the perishable milk, etc. We need to think about them differently. But then cups, we're increasing cups. We're increasing other non-perishable. We're already a cash economy because of the crisis. We're not really using banks, but we're spreading the cash because we don't know where the safe space are going to be. Like, we're assuming that the north is going to be safer than the south, but you never know what can happen. So we're spreading our cash to have cash everywhere, so that in case we can't reach wherever we want to reach. In case you have collections, try to get collections. In case you have money in the market. We stopped anything that is not essential. So we looked at everything that we're doing and we put two categories, essential, non-essential. And we stopped maintenance, marketing, anything that we consider not essential is not something we're doing anymore. So you have the essentials and the nice to have. What is essential is things that are in line with our purpose, important to our customers today. So in a crisis, what is important to our customers, not when everything is rosy, and will this help us to become a better company after? So these are the three things that we consider essential. And obviously, in terms of product, 80-20, like we're really focusing on the 20% of the product that bring the most sales. And we're delaying any payment that is not essential. We're really not focusing on what is not essential. And remember that in a crisis, good enough and fast is more important than perfect and late. So you're going to take decisions, take them fast, even if it's not the best decision, but it needs to be a decision to keep you rolling when it comes to people, cash flow, and mindset. With your team, what we usually do is acknowledging the fact. So we had a meeting with the operation. We told them, this is what we're preparing for. This is what we're planning. And we looked at different scenarios. So there's the option of not having fuel. Where are we storing fuels? How are we making sure that we can have energy as long as possible? In case there's no more phone, what would you do in case there's no more internet? What would we do in case for the internet, for example, we went before the crisis, we had everything on the clouds, everything, checklist, we became paperless. And then when the crisis happened, we went back to papers. 6 months ago, we decided to go back to the cloud. So we went up back to the cloud. And now we're going back from clouds to paper because we don't know if we can have access to the cloud or if we can have internet. So having local backup, every store now has its own backup, not only centralized in the office. So little things like this to ensure that that you can continue even if you don't have internet, phone, fuel connections, and to decide on the decision chains. Okay, who decides what if you cannot get in touch? If the manager cannot talk to the area manager, what are the things that he can decide on? Okay. Another thing on the team is also the theft that could become higher when there's a crisis or when things are not under control. So again, for the team, we acknowledged the fact, we told them what we're planning, we looked at different scenarios, and even though it was shocking for people that did not go through the war in 2006, because we think 2006 is yesterday, but then I realized a lot of our team members were not in the workforce when this war happened. So they were like really shocked, but it's better to shock them when everything is cool and calm than to shock them in the middle of a crisis, and remind them why you're doing what you're doing, why we're focusing. So for us, it's spreading happiness. So automatically in times of crisis, our role in our society is even more important than when everything goes well. And remind everyone that this will pass. And this is something unfortunate that for all of us that were here in all the wars that happened, I was counting, maybe this is the 10th war in our lifetime. And it was so sad to realize that it will pass. It's not the first time. We're still here. We know what to do. It's not going to be fun, but we still need to go through it and get things done. On the flip side is really focusing on plan B. Okay, so let's say if you're in Beirut or you are located in the area that are supposed to be not as safe as others, try to look, what if you open an office in Bremena or in Batroun or in Jbeil, or try to look at opportunity. So try to get pop-ups, rent location before the crisis, because the day of the crisis, these locations are gonna be times 10. Okay, so these are the main points that we're working on right now. What we have, and this is something I wanted to share with you, as you know, for those of you who started, because this is how the Empowering Tribe started with it was called the Crisis Pivot Program at the time. And it's a full course on crisis management and how to take the crisis and turn it into an opportunity. So this is something that I would recommend for all of you who did not do it, to do it now that we don't have a crisis. We don't have yet a crisis, because again, we don't know what's going to happen. And I hope that everything that we're discussing and everything that we're talking about is going to be a total waste of your time, and it will be something that we'll never use. And this is what we're all hoping. But in case it's not, we need to be ready for it. And this is our responsibility as leaders, to be ready and hopefully never to use it. So make sure to be prepared and to stay safe.